Welcome to Friday I'm in Bed.
Podcast for midlife women living their best life, but in bed by 10.
We're here to chat and sometimes rant about the news of the week and how it affects us and you.
I'm Kate, a 53-year-old postmenopausal mum of two, whose happy place is at the front of a very loud gig, especially one that ends early.
I'm Jem, I'm 46 years old. I love running and cocktails and I'm child-free, but I am a devoted mum to two very spoilt pug babies. But before we begin, we will occasionally be discussing sensitive topics, but we will always notify you in advance of each section. And we can add support group websites and phone numbers that will help you in the show notes.
Please do like and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts, and do leave us a comment. We love to chat, as you can probably tell. This week on Friday I'm in Bed, we're talking Christmas dinner, or rather, the fact that hardly anyone is having a traditional one anymore. Turkey fatigue is real, people. We're chatting about what everyone's eating instead, why the old school meal is on the way out, and how to take the stress out of the whole thing, regardless of what's on your plate.
We're also rolling our eyes at Pantone's Colour of the Year, which is white. Yes, white. We're asking whether they've run out of ideas or if someone somewhere is genuinely trying to take all the colour out of our lives.
Finally, we're chatting about I'm a Celebrity and the way the press still can't help pitting one beautiful woman against another, because apparently it's 2025, but the headlines didn't get the memo that it's okay for more than one successful woman to exist at the same time, or in this case, in the same show. Hi, Gemma, how are you?
Hi, Kate. Yeah, I'm in my new office. It's not finished yet. I've got some really nice acoustic paneling to go on the walls behind me. And so I'm very excited to be in my office, and not that I'm decorating that wall with a specific idea that it will be behind me on the podcast or anything like that.
How's your week been, or has it been all consumed with moving?
Mostly consumed with moving. I went to a silent disco on Saturday night, which is always fun.
Is it
But
that?
yeah. No, I actually love them. It's so good. One of the things I love is watching the colours change on the headphones. So one person finds a song they like and then it just changes around the room. It's really good.
I've never been to a silent disco and it doesn't appeal to me. I love a disco, but I want us all to be dancing to the same song and singing together and air guitaring together and being general buffoons.
Well, the best thing is to take your headphones off and listen to everybody singing along when they can't hear themselves.
Well, I had a good week. This is a really cool story because, everyone always flags off social media, and I want to say something that's happened to me this week that's amazing on social media. And that is, I have been looking for my best friend from university for about 20 years. So I shared a room with her in the first year. We lived together in the second and the third year. We went traveling together. She was my bridesmaid, and I haven't spoken to her since the mid-90s, and I've looked for her. And last week she found me, because she's been looking for me for all that time too. And she lives in Thailand. She's been teaching in Thailand for 10 years. We have chatted non-stop. And it's this is why I love social media.
That's made me feel all warm and squishy. It's so nice that she found you as well.
I know. Well, I got this random message, and I get a lot of random messages from people, to be fair. And it just said, "Hi, Dave gave me your number. Good to see you." And I was a bit like, who's Dave? Who are you? I was a bit like, what? And I nearly ignored it. And then I was like, hang on. And I clicked on her profile and she looked exactly the same. Her hair's the same. Everything's the same. And I was just like, oh my God. And actually Dave was one of our best friends at uni.
I was going to say, who actually was Dave in the end?
He lives in Thailand too.
Oh,
so yeah,
amazing.
Really exciting. So I had a really good week just chatting and reminiscing and also saying, when can I come to Thailand?
Well, I was just going to say, so now you've got somewhere to stay in Thailand.
Yeah, that helps. That's really good.
So lovely. I'm really, you're all smiley. I'm really pleased for you.
I know, it's cool. It's cool. Although I did have to say, we need to stop talking now because I do need to do some work. Anyway, we better get on with the show.
Of work.
What? There's a blooper. Right, blooper. Let's get on with the show.
So, first up, I'm going to be very seasonal because it's December and we're going to talk about Christmas dinner. So, where this came from, there was a YouGov survey about Christmas dinner and Tesco do a survey about Christmas dinner. And I think it was the Tesco one that found that 17% of young people aged 25 to 34 aren't having a traditional Christmas dinner. And they prefer to have things like, they prefer to have takeaways. I think pizza was one of the most popular ones, which surprised me. And also, half of all adults aren't having turkey for Christmas, which is obviously the traditional Christmas meat. And they're either having a plant-based menu or they're just serving chicken or beef or something like that. So I thought that was quite interesting. I mean, do you always have a traditional Christmas dinner?
No. First of all, we're all vegetarian. So I remember being 14 and saying I'd really like cheese pasta for Christmas dinner, and that's what we had. We do now have a kind of veggie roast, but we have it on Christmas Eve. We don't have it on Christmas Day. On Christmas Day, we eat lasagne, which has been pre-made by my family. They bring it and then just gets bunged in the oven. So a few years ago, I think I just read somebody was doing this, where they have the traditional Christmas sit down with crackers, meal on Christmas Eve, so that Christmas Day is freed up from the stress of cooking. And I realized that what happened, I mean, I don't cook very often. I'm not the chef in the house. So Christmas Day, my husband was in the kitchen all day. We are in the lounge stuffing our faces. Eventually we get served the food. Very grateful, obviously. But by that point, we were either drunk
or full of crisps.
And we didn't want to eat it. The kids didn't want to eat it anyway because they were full of chocolate. Then we'd have an argument with the kids because they weren't eating the dinner. Adam had missed the whole opening presents because he was in the kitchen. And it was like, this isn't really cool. This isn't like very conducive to like having a chilled family nice day. So now we have that on Christmas Eve and we all just kind of help with the cooking. We have a lovely sit down dinner with the family. So my parents come. And then on Christmas Day, the rule is eat what you want, when you want, don't eat beans on toast if you want. Like, honestly, it doesn't matter because it's Christmas Day and you should just be able to do what you want to do. And it's had a massive impact on our Christmas because now our Christmas is really chilled.
Yeah. And that's what I say. I'm quite curious because obviously I don't have children. So we're not going for the big family Christmas. My husband's parents are, his mum's in Aberdeenshire. Mine are down in Kent and they worked in hospitality for many years until they retired. So it's been just us two for Christmas for a long time. What we normally do is we have a nice dinner, but very rarely will we make it a traditional Christmas dinner with all the trimmings. My husband's vegetarian, so we eat mostly vegetarian at home anyway. So, we'll do something like a stew or a nice pie. I don't know. Do you know what I mean? We'll have a nice dinner, but it's not a traditional Christmas dinner. And I always think that kind of roast thing is the kind of thing you make for like a whole family sit down kind of thing. But I really love the Christmas Eve idea, actually. That's really nice. And then we could just sit on the sofa and eat chocolate all day on Christmas Day, which sounds appealing.
I think with the kids that it's a definite thing because, as I said, you get a bit like you can't eat that chocolate. You can't, like, you've had too much now because of the dinner, and then they sit down and they don't want a big roast dinner, when they're little as well. They're like, they don't want that, but yet the tradition is then we all have to do it and there's a starter and there's it's all, and it's like they don't want this, and it just was turning into too much of an argument. What's interesting though, back to the report, the survey, it'll be interesting to know what the demographic was, because obviously we're such a multicultural country. There will be lots of people not having a Christmas dinner as such, not having that traditional Christmas dinner. They might have their family over and lots of wonderful food, but it might not be traditional.
Yeah,
The other thing is obviously is like turkey. It's massive. It takes hours, and more people have air fryers and don't have ovens. More and more people don't learn to cook as well, and they don't have a big table full of people. So why would you want to cook a big turkey for 5 hours or however long
Yeah.
it takes.
Well, that was part of exactly. There's two of us. Do you know what I mean? If we cook a big turkey, we're going to be eating it not just for a week. We're going to be eating it for the rest of for all of January. And have two very happy pugs.
Yeah, don't be happy.
They'll also be like, "Oh, turkey! Thank you very much." Yeah. So we haven't bothered with that for
It's
years.
also really expensive. My career before I went self-employed, I was 12 years at head office at Tesco's in various roles, mainly visual merchandising and clothing and store design. So I wasn't, into the buying of food. But the thing that was stolen the most wasn't booze, which is easy to think it was meat. And that was in the noughties and early 2000s. And obviously everything is way more expensive than it was then. And it was because of the price of meat. So actually to be able to afford a turkey, I mean, they cost a fortune.
It costs an absolute fortune, especially if you want to get they're like, "Oh, there's Norfolk black turkey." And no, I'm not buying a Norfolk black turkey. It costs £1 million. I don't have that much money.
It's just a lot of money. But then I made a video, I think it's last week, around all the things I'm not doing this Christmas. And one of the things I talked about, which caused a bit of a conversation, was buying Christmas specific food. So panettone, mince pies, Yule log, all the stuff. Because in our house, it doesn't get eaten. And it's the sort of thing that gets thrown out. And I get sucked in when I'm like shopping at Lidl is where I go. And it's like, this all looks so lovely and I buy it all, but nobody wants it. And actually what everyone wants in this house is posh chocolates and nice posh crisps, as we call them. So nicer crisps, nicer nuts, nicer chocolate.
Like, you go up 1 or 2 steps from the normal shopping, right? That's where we go.
Yeah, and more of it, of course. We just end up throwing away all that stuff. And I think a lot of people now have wised up to that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of bits. I tend not to buy mince pies because that's the kind of thing where we have one and then the rest go, they just sit in the cupboard for weeks.
But wouldn't it be
I
nice
do
if
like
they had
a panettone, though. I do like a panettone. So but we have to get the tiny, tiny ones because that are like a 1-person portion because there's only 2 of us. So,
and I think that's the same with mince pies. Everything's in a 6. And obviously 6 isn't a lot, but we will buy a mince pie and I'll have 1. So why don't we have a little 2-woman packet?
Yeah, you have to go and spend more than you would spend on a whole 6-pack on 1 mince pie.
I think I get sucked in every year, and I've made a conscious decision this year to say nobody eats mince pies in this house. So
I'm not buying mince pies.
Yeah.
I was quite intrigued actually when you were talking about that Adam does the cooking in your house. We take it in turns. So one year I'll cook the nice dinner, the next year my husband will cook the nice dinner, and we kind of take it in turns. But one of the things that I picked up on from this article was that they were talking about the stress as well being one of the reasons that people aren't having Christmas dinner. And it made me think about how much of that kind of the Christmas magic is down to women normally, like doing the work in the background. Obviously in your house, you're not the one slaving away in the kitchen all day. But I very much remember that from my childhood. I remember my mum in the kitchen and she'd have a port and lemon in the kitchen doing the cooking the Christmas dinner while the rest of us were like watching Stuart Little or something and stuffing our face with Pringles in front of the TV.
Well, don't get me wrong, I might not cook the Christmas dinner, but I do everything else. So let's just put that out there. That actually reminded me, I brought this up actually at our Sunday dinner. We do have a roast dinner every Sunday, a veggie roast. And I suddenly remembered about last year's Boots advert and how all the men in the land were going to boycott Boots forever because they were so outraged. I don't know if you remember. It was Mummy Christmas or Mother Mrs. Christmas or whatever, Mrs. Claus, doing all the Santa bit whilst he slept. And then it was basically a great advert around acknowledging how much women do. Also bearing in mind that Boots' target's audience is women. So it was a great advert, but all the men were up in arms over it. And so they were going to boycott Boots. And I said last night, I wonder if they have boycotted Boots or have they forgotten about that and gone back?
Well, they were probably like, yeah, we'll boycott Boots. And Boots were like, when was the last time you came in?
I think that is basically what Boots said in retaliation to all the comments was like I've not been funny, but like whatever.
But we haven't seen you for 10 years anyway. We know your wife buys your moisturiser.
Yeah, and you probably don't even wear moisturiser anyway, so.
Okay, she buys the toothpaste.
Yeah, so yeah, my husband does the cooking. That is our pretty much how we divvy up jobs. So in our house, we have our own jobs. I do the cleaning, not all the cleaning. I kind of clean and he does all the cooking and the food shopping and stuff. That suits me perfectly fine. I would rather clean and clean and clean and clean than not have to cook. And I don't dislike cooking, and I'm actually quite a good cook. It's that, what are we going to eat tonight? There's a meme, isn't there, that says, I didn't realize that adulting would be, what am I going to have for dinner? And
For
then
the rest of my life. Yeah.
yeah.
I thought about that yesterday. You telling me I have to think about it again today?
And it's funny because it's way more cleaning than there is cooking, but I would still
Rather do the cleaning forever.
Yeah. So I'm running the Christmas quiz tonight at the local pub, and one of the questions is in a recent survey. So I've been looking at surveys too. What percentage of households across the UK throw out their Brussels sprouts afterwards? So do you know what that is?
No.
It's high or low? High or low?
High.
No, it's low. Although it's a quarter. It's a quarter of all.
Oh, that's it. See, that's what I was going to say, like 30% maybe. I thought that was quite high. Do you know what I mean? I didn't think it was like 70% of people throw out their Brussels sprouts. I thought that, that was quite a high amount of people that bought Brussels sprouts and then went, why?
I know. And I was thinking, because I thought it would be higher because, I'm not a fan of a Brussels sprout, mainly because most people cook them really badly, actually. My mum cooks them really well and then they taste nice.
And my nana used to cook them really well with she used to do like bacon and breadcrumbs and stuff.
I think not that many people buy them anymore, especially with what you've said, that fewer people are actually doing a traditional dinner. So therefore, the percentage of households throwing it away, I think you are going to be smaller because I think you only buy them if you like them now.
Yeah. It was one of the things that the survey talked about as well was people taking shortcuts.
Okay. So what's the shortcut?
Like, we're on cheating again, aren't we? I mean, I think so they were talking about basically like buying roast potatoes in a foil tray rather than or ready-made bread sauce, like red vegetables. See, I get Brussels sprouts frozen quite a lot. So if we're having Brussels sprouts for Christmas dinner, if we were going to do that, we'd probably get them frozen, probably with chestnuts. And so we buy them frozen, but apparently that's a shortcut. I don't know if that means we're supposed to be like heading out into the fields on Christmas Eve with a basket to like pick our own Brussels sprouts.
Vegetables is the shortcut. We eat frozen vegetables. They're actually proved to be more nutritious because they keep the vitamins in.
They're quick frozen and they keep the vitamins,
And the shelf life is so poor. Like whenever I buy broccoli fresh, it gets thrown out, whereas we have now frozen broccoli.
Yeah, that's what I do.
But I don't know about frozen roast potatoes. I think I'm a little anti that. I think we grow our potatoes, although we haven't got any left, actually. We do grow a lot of our own vegetables. I think if I said to Adam, why don't we have frozen Yorkshire puddings this year, he would probably divorce me.
See, I shortcut but I feel like there's a middle ground between those. See, the problem with frozen roast potatoes to me is that they always put them in batter. And I don't want frozen roast potatoes in batter, but the ones in the foil trays are just like somebody already cut up and parboiled the potatoes for you. So you just have to like put them in the oven. You don't have to like think about it. So I do that. Like Yorkshire puddings, those ones that come in a bag, nope. The ones that come in that are like frozen in a little foil tray and then like puff up in the oven, yes. See, it's like a midway cheating.
Ultimately, if you don't like cooking, but you want the Christmas dinner or you find it all very stressful, it's actually a great, do what you want to do, even if that's pizza.
Exactly. Again, my first thought when I saw this thing, I'm sorry, I'm getting quite twitchy about the idea that they were like, they're taking shortcuts. And you know that they're going, these lazy women, they don't cook Christmas dinner from scratch anymore.
It's really ableist as well. People that complain about grated cheese in bags, for example, and it's always lazy women. It's never lazy men, is it? Lazy women, can't be bothered to grate, but actually some people find grating, they can't actually physically do it. So it makes it a lot simpler. Plus, a lot of people don't have a beautiful kitchen with all the utensils and all the big double oven, and they don't have all of that. So anything to make life easier is good.
Yeah. I mean, my kitchen, we've got a lot of kit, but the kitchen itself is tiny. One person can fit in there, and that is it. That'll be why we take it in turns, and we're not like, hey, let's share Christmas dinner cooking together. So
that'd be fine for us because it's always Adam.
Anyway, what have we decided then? We've decided eat whatever you like for Christmas dinner. The end.
Do what you want. And also, Christmas is supposed to be fun. And I
Hmm.
think all these things we have to do just puts more pressure on proceedings. And
And
like,
most of these, sorry, I was going to say most of these traditions didn't exist until like 100 years ago anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's not like they're like thousands of years old, the traditions. Most of them are Victorian.
and a lot of the traditions that we are discussing, women weren't working. So women didn't have jobs as well. And of course, would prepare a massive big Sunday dinner or whatever. So life has actually changed. And young people absolutely look at traditions like that and think, well, what is the point?
Doesn't work for our lives now.
You can't fit a whole turkey in an air fryer. So I want to talk about I'm a celebrity, get me out of here. I love a bit of reality TV, but I know you don't, I don't think. Do you watch it?
I do like reality TV, depending on what it is. I'm quite picky, but I'm a Celebrity I used to watch years ago. I think I gave up a long time ago, though. Yeah, no, I haven't watched this series at all.
Well, I don't watch it either. So I am not going to be talking about what's happening in it because I don't watch it. But what I have noticed is a pattern that actually happens loads where the press are loving the idea of pitting one woman against another. So there are obviously loads of women in the jungle, but there are two that the press would describe, this isn't me describing, the press would describe as the bombshells. They're the sexy ones, the beautiful ones. That's not to say the others aren't. It's just the way, the way the media is.
Yeah.
And so there's Vogue Williams and there's Kelly Brook. And I have no idea what they've done in the show because this isn't about that. This is about the press. So what I've noticed is the press have really pitted them against each other in a way that we as the viewer have to choose our favorite. And one has been made into the villain and one has been made into the opposite of the villain, the hero. So Vogue is the hero and Kelly is the villain. And some people will agree that she is the villain. I have no idea. There's lots of people that don't think she is. But the point is how the press really want us to choose a side. It's like we can't have two sexy women in one show or two successful women or two beautiful women. We can't have that. And it made me think about even just in the early noughties, you were into Britney or Christina. We couldn't be into both of them. There wasn't room for two awesome women. We had to choose a side. And yeah, the more I started thinking about it, the more I was getting a little cross because you're allowed to have two successful men in a show, but not two women. And I thought, let's chat about it.
And you think Jem will have opinions on that?
I thought, yeah. Because actually it's regardless of the fact whether you like Kelly Brook or don't like Kelly Brook, not relevant. It's just this kind of, there can only be two sexy women in the show. And it's like, what utter bullshit is that?
See, one of the headlines that I saw was because obviously they've got this jungle shower and they all shower in a bikini because we're not getting in the jungle shower naked in front of the cameras, right?
No.
So the headline I saw was "Move over, lean class. Kelly Brook is here." And so Mylene Class was obviously in it years ago, and she was one of the first ones that I can remember. They were like, "Oh, Mylene's having a shower in the jungle shower. Let's get all excited because she's in her pants."
Yes.
And so it was a picture of Kelly Brook in this jungle shower and saying, look, for basically.
But did you see that a week later it said "Move over, Kelly, Vogue's in the shower"? So then we had Vogue in the shower, and regardless of what you think of the women, it was like, why can't we just go, whoa, there's another amazing woman on the show? Why does it have to be
why can't we be like, oh, people have to have a shower?
Well, there is that, of course. But it's like, why can't we go, wow, look at all the amazing women there are in I'm a Celebrity this year, rather than let's make one into the hero and one into the villain, and we have, it's a bit pantomime-like, isn't it?
Jamila Jamil talks about this a lot. She talks about the fact that the press have always got to kind of put people against each other, especially when it's women. They can't be like, these people get on absolutely fine and work together. It always has to be, if there are two, particularly if they're attractive women.
Yeah.
In the traditional media, these women are attractive sense, which normally means tall, skinny, busty, then they have to, one of them, they can't possibly get on. They can't be friends. They can't be like helping each other out. They have to be pitted against each other. I'll be honest with you, apart from the patriarchy, I don't know why that has to be the thing. I really don't understand why it can't be that women get on with each other and why they feel the need to pit them against each other. I mean, do you know?
And what is the point? And one of the things I notice on I was going to say daily, but it's actually an hourly basis, particularly as I'm, very visible online, of how women, like the negative comments I get about my body, my skin, my hair, whatever it is, are from women, never from men. And obviously I see that on everything I look at. And I'm wondering how much, well, not really wondering, I think it is, how much that kind of rhetoric that you can't have two gorgeous women together, you have to choose a side, one is a baddie, one is a goodie, all of that is just going into our subconscious, so that every time we see a woman, we have to share our opinion on her or say she's a baddie. Like we never say, oh, she's a goodie. It's really like, back to what I said about pantomime, like, it's like, boo, because boo, Kelly Brook, which is total rubbish, obviously, but
it's always on appearance, though, isn't it? It's never like, oh, she's a more successful businesswoman than she is. They must hate each other. It's always like there are two, even if there were two successful businesswomen, it would be like she must hate her because she has better hair.
Well, yeah. And it's just feeding into a narrative that, back to the like, it's only women. So say Britney versus Christina. I feel like even like with the Spice Girls, you had to choose your one, and you weren't allowed to like the Spice Girls and All Saints. Like it was like, no, you absolutely choose your side. But I feel like you were allowed to like Boyzone and whoever, you could like all of the guys in Westlife. I'm just thinking of boy bands in the
I think you had to have your favourite though, didn't you? I mean, I was New Kids on the Block era, I'm afraid. So I was like, I had my little poster of Joey that I would kiss goodnight to. I was like 11.
We did, and I was a Duran Duran fan. I'm a little bit earlier than you, but I don't remember the press telling me I had to.
No, and it was okay whichever one you picked as well. It was like, it was an equal opportunities which one was your boy band member, rather than feeling like the members of the boy band had to be enemies competing for your adoration. I feel
in my time you were allowed to like Duran Duran and Wham and Culture Club. You were allowed to like them all. Whereas I feel like with the girl, I mean, I can't think of any girl bands back in the early 80s. Or Bananarama. But we didn't have social media so much. And, is this a newer thing? I don't know.
Well, we had that. I mean, you weren't allowed to like take that Andy 17. That was definitely not allowed. I can definitely remember. Remember that much. That was more my little sister's kind of era. But I don't know. I think that the kind of competitiveness that they put on it doesn't come in. I guess there is a thing where you're used to, boys are supposed to be part of a team, aren't they? They're supposed to play football. They're supposed to be part of that thing. And there's the boys club. I mean, like, we literally know there's a boys club, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas women are kind of painted as competing for male attention, I guess. So within that, if that's the thing that women are competing for, which is the attention of men, then that's why then they're pitted against each other to get that attention, rather than it being like, we're a team and waiting for people to kind of come to us. They're trying to get out of that and get some male attention. And I think that's always the thing as well, is it's the assumption that these women are just, they're having a shower in their bikini because they want everyone to see how gorgeous they are, because they're somehow competing to be the most gorgeous, rather than they just wanted to clean their bits because they're a bit sweaty in the jungle.
Yeah, and then the production team play into that, don't they? Because I haven't watched it, so were they filmed more than the men or than the other women? I don't know. Definitely the press picked up on it, but I think your point about boys are in a team and they're not fighting against each other for anything. Well, I mean, maybe some things, but I can't really think of anything. Whereas we are supposed to be the prettiest, for example, or, getting the man, two girls fighting for the man. You don't hear about two guys fighting for the girl. I mean, obviously that happens, but it is that And obviously that just brings us all down to our appearance, doesn't it?
But it's competitiveness as well. Competitiveness is allowed in men and it's viewed as a positive trait. Whereas in women it isn't, which is why then that's why you end up with someone being the villain. And I do think we do see about men competing for women because women are considered a prize. The attractive woman is considered a prize. That's kind of what they're after. But that competitiveness, it's really difficult to kind of put it into words, which is terrible on a podcast. I am aware of that.
But I think it's all like with
women physically, women are supposed to be attractive and they're supposed to be a prize, and therefore they are viewing other women as competition. They need to be more attractive than those other women so that the men who are competing for them will want them instead. But that competitiveness in women is viewed as a bad thing, and therefore they're not also supposed to not let you know that they want to be the most beautiful. So when a woman acknowledges that she thinks she might be attractive, then that's a negative trait. We don't want to see like women saying, oh no, I think I'm gorgeous. Women are supposed to be like, no, I'm ugly. It's awful. When really we all know that they're classically attractive with long blonde hair and big boobs and tiny waist and
But do you
whatever the
believe that
current
to be
cultural
true,
things are.
or is that the press and social media and society perpetuating that? Because we're not all competing against each other to get the guy. We're just, because I get comments like this all the time about, you're only doing this to get the man type of thing. I'm not in those words. And it's like, no, I'm wearing this dress for me. I get it a lot about makeup, particularly because I talk about aging, and I get a backlash sometimes for wearing makeup because apparently if I'm aging, I shouldn't care about my makeup. And I'm like, well, I like makeup, so it's got nothing to do with anything. And then people say to me, and it's women as well that say to me, yeah, but it's so freeing because realizing you don't need to attract a man and you don't need to attract anybody. It's so freeing, you don't have to wear makeup. But it's like, but I'm wearing makeup for me. And people find that really hard to grasp as a concept, that I do my roots for me. I wear my lipstick for me. I wear a pretty frock for me. It's not to attract a male or even my husband. Like, it's for me.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't believe it's true, in answer to your question. I obviously don't believe it's true. I think women are just existing. And I've seen plenty of stuff online. I think Em Clarkson did a video once, like a stupid reel, where she was like knocking on a door. And she was like, do you know you don't have to raise your hand? You could knock on a door with your hand down instead. Oh, amazing. But she was wearing leggings and a sweatshirt in it. And somehow it got to the wrong side of the internet. And a load of blokes turned up saying, oh, look at you wearing leggings just to show off your bum. Like, crazy. Yeah, no. And I mean, these are literally just women existing. And that's exactly what's happening on I'm a Celebrity. They are women that are just existing. I mean, honestly, it's quite obvious. If you're not watching this with video, I have a very short bob and it's bleached blonde, so my hair is incredibly natural. But if I was going to choose a haircut to attract a man, this would not be it. Generally, the classic thing is to be going for, your Pantene natural vibes. Oh. Yeah, no, and if every outfit I wore was for my husband, they would be very different outfits to the ones that I actually wear. Yeah, it's absolutely for me. I do, as I get older, I wear a lot less makeup. There was times when I wouldn't go out without makeup on at all, but I wear a lot less makeup now. To be fair, I also get my eyelashes glued on and my eyebrows tattooed on, so
but for you,
maybe I don't need as much. Huh?
For you, because you want it.
Because I like it. I don't think there's blokes out there going, oh, I wish she'd glued her eyelashes on. Yeah, no, I like it. I love it. And yeah, a lot of the things that I wear and a lot of the things I go for because I like them and I love playing with my appearance like that. But you do get that backlash online. There's a video that I put up weeks ago, which I think I've spoken about a couple of times, where I say I am 46 and I'm not afraid to admit that. And then in the comments, I put, like in the caption, I put loads of stupid things that aren't very grown up that I do. And literally, I'm still getting comments on it now, either telling me how old I look, which thanks, not really bothered. But then I got one the other day that went, well, the haircut says it all. I don't even need to read the caption. And I was like, what? What does my hair say? And it is just that assumption that everything, it is weird though, that assumption comes from women.
It's from women.
But I bet if you asked them, they wouldn't think that everything they were doing was to be attractive to men. So it's like we assume it about other women, but we know it's not true about us.
Yeah. although I don't assume it about anybody. But I
Okay,
obviously
not me.
I get a lot of comments, and it's all the negativity. I'd say 99.9% is from women. It's not from men. And men turn up and write silly things on my feed or slip into my DMs and go, hi. There's a lot of that, but it's women, and they just, I feel like, but bring it back to on the celebrity and the media, they are so used to, as you said, us being the prize or us being the hero and the villain or being judged all the time by how we look, and you have, and feeling that everything you do is for an ulterior motive because the press tells you it is. Oh, look, she's wearing a short skirt. Oh, look, she's in the shower and I'm a celebrity washing her body. That it's so ingrained into our brains because we see it over and over and over. And because we don't critically think, we just go, this is true. And then we blurt that out on the internet to other people. And we just keep repeating, I'm saying we, I'm not saying me, repeating the same rhetoric. And therefore nothing changes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. When we say we're talking a general society thing, the kind of people that are leaving these comments on the internet, because sometimes it's quite hard and you have to second guess. I think it's about questioning yourself. So before you when you read those articles, and we've brought this up before as well, haven't we? When you read those articles and you feel that first thought pop into your head, I think the key thing is having that critical analysis and that first thought that pops into your head going, where does that come from? If the press is telling you that they are pitting these women against each other and you go, oh, it's terrible, they hate each other, to question that thought and say, why do I think they hate each other? Do they actually hate each other? Or am I just being trained to think that because there are two attractive women, they must therefore be in competition with each other?
So much critical thinking is needed.
Okay, so final topic that I wanted to talk about, just because it's been everywhere at the moment, is the Pantone Colour of the Year, which you might think is a bit of a non-topic, but it's been really controversial. So I don't know if you've seen it. If you haven't, this year's Pantone Colour of the Year is Cloud Dancer, which Pantone describe as a billowy, balanced white. Last year it was Mocha Mousse, which was kind of beige. And the year before that it was Peach Fuzz, which was kind of soft and warm. So we're kind of heading further and further and further down into the non-colour angle. So there's a few things that have come up about this that I've been seeing. So the first one is the fact that really white, do we not need, I mean, I think we can tell if you have the video on for this. I've got some kind of teal wallpaper behind me and Kate's got a very dark blue wall, but they're trying to suck all the colour out of our lives, that now everything is this kind of white, grey and beige. So that's coming up a lot. And the other thing is seriously, in kind of the culture that we're in at the moment, picking white as the colour of the year could potentially be a bit of a political statement. So I think I'll start with Kate, obviously, like I said, I can see the colour of the wall behind you. Are you a colourful person in general?
Well,
What do you think?
yes, I'm into colour. It's worth saying that the Pantone Colour of the Year announcement is actually in my diary every single year because I run a wedding blog, and the Pantone Colour of the Year is actually really influential towards the industry. And so you might say mocha or the peach, was still quite soft, but actually people started embracing peach tones into their weddings. So it's actually really exciting, the Pantone Colour of the Year, because it does impact the industry. So when it was announced that it was white, it was like, hey, wedding's white. Wow, that's amazing. But also I have noticed through obviously blogging about weddings all the time, that white on white on white weddings are becoming more fashionable again. And because we promote weddings with personality, and that's not to say you haven't got a personality if you have a white on white on white wedding, but it's like white. So that was my first thought. But as you said, it's the whole political thing that people are talking about, I think is really interesting. And when you said, let's talk about Pantone Colour of the Year, my first thought was like, oh, white, I don't want to talk about it. But then, I started thinking about that I'm seeing online from the clean girl aesthetic, which is what it's literally called, which has been prevalent for the last year or two or even more, trends online. So it is very, women wearing beige and white and neutrals, glossy, natural faces, blonde, always blonde buns, hair tied back, clean girl. But what's happened in the last year is the messy aesthetic is breaking through. I mean, I've always been messy, but the messy aesthetic with like Charlie XCX and smudged eyeliner and sex, drugs and rock and roll and being messy has really come to the forefront. Obviously, she's won loads of awards. Fashion is like looking back to kind of the noughties indie sleaze, not that we called it indie sleaze back then. And I wonder, you said about politics, we'll come on to that in a minute, whether there's somebody somewhere going, no, we don't want messy girl, because messy girl is riot girl. It's sticking two fingers up. It's saying, I'm going to do it my way. And young people are really embracing messy girl as if it's like the first time they've ever seen it, because it is the first time. It's not first time to us, because that's how we lived our lives in the 90s.
Yes. We are messy girls.
We are messy girls. We already, I've always, opened my handbag. It's a big fat mess. Things aren't compartmentalized like the clean girl aesthetic it had. So I wonder whether there's somebody somewhere going, no, we can't have this messy girl. We need to pull everything back to clean aesthetic. Because I think people ultimately are quite scared of, particularly women, who are like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. See, these were exactly part of my thoughts on it, was that I'm mostly in the kind of wellness fitness space, and you get a lot of that kind of aesthetic there as well. And then it goes into clean eating and kind of you get so much of it, and you see it in interior decor when everyone's houses are kind of white and grey, and that whole kind of look. So you do see that a lot, and it's been linked quite a lot to that kind of republicanism, obviously being the American angle of that, or conservatism, presumably in this country, but that kind of very traditional values, and we've got it, and purity, which is where the kind of like eugenics kind of angle comes into it.
And also, not just eugenics, back to, think about women's rights being taken away, people wanting us to be more virginal, to be traditional, all of that stuff that is happening in conservative, Republican, and in other countries as well. And so, the white feels very apt. But also, there's a backlash, surely, because there's a lot of people online going, what the actual? White isn't even a colour.
So whilst it might be kind of on the nose in that sense of the purity and that kind of backlash that we do see maybe in that kind of more counterculture at the moment, but we know historically that the counterculture stuff quite often then starts to filter through a bit. I mean, the catwalks were still showing a lot of colour this year, so they're showing those kind of fuzzy fabrics and bright colours. Maybe this is that kind of, I don't know enough about Pantone as a company, but is this a kind of, let's push us back in that other way a bit towards that?
I don't know. I think the point you made about the catwalk and interior design and all things are going towards more colour. This messy girl aesthetic, because that is becoming the bigger thing. And you're seeing it in fashion, you're seeing it in music, you're seeing it in interiors. And as you said, it's like it's the backlash, it's counterculture, which always exists. But it feels like there's somebody that wants to drag us back. But are we just radical feminists, reading too much into this? Is it just white is the colour of the year because white is nice?
I think both of those things can be true.
White is nice. It's white.
I mean, I would say we are reading things into it, but if you think that there are things to be read into it, then it's true. I mean, you have to have that comes back to that critical thinking again, and that kind of cultural analysis, that at some point you have to say, okay, Pantone Colour of the Year can be quite influential. And the fact that they've chosen essentially white, called it Cloud Dancer. I have to say, some of the things that Pantone are saying about it, they're saying like, this is a colour that allows other colours to shine, is one of the things that they said. And that was their kind of like take on it. But is it that kind of thing. I mean, we would like to think that that messy aesthetic has taken over. However, unfortunately, the kind of like the rise of the right and those things, we're still seeing that that's the kind of dominant culture at the moment. So maybe it is reflective of the times we're in, but we are seeing maybe some of that backlash, which might take a few years to filter through if we're lucky. Maybe it'll be hot pink next year.
I don't know. I think it's easy to think we're reading something into it, but I don't think we are personally, because as you said, Pantone's choice is very influential. We look to it. Stylists look to it, and they have actively chosen it. So it's not like, oh, let's flip a coin. Should we have white or pink this year? Well, I mean, who knows how they choose it, but they know, and they look at trends and they look at trend reports, and it is considered. So it does seem very interesting, hence so much chat about it, that they have actively chosen white, pure, virginal, bridal, or just nothing white.
Yeah. I had some more. What else did they say about it? Because I did. Oh, yeah. And that was it. Do you remember the Sydney Sweeney American Eagle ad? Yeah. So that was kind of brought up as another kind of example of those kind of companies that are kind of pushing that aesthetic and pushing that kind of the traditional values and I always feel like the word traditional, maybe we're going back to Christmas dinner again, but the word traditional carries a lot of weight on it. The word traditional. I mean, you might think that it's traditional. What does traditional mean? Traditional means things we've always done or things that we do every year, but it doesn't, does it? The word, when it's used in that political context, and we are talking about tradition, the traditional family means we're starting to say that imply or infer, which one is it? I don't care. That that this is the right kind of family. This is the traditional family. And therefore, and it's a word that only gets used when different types of family units start to pop up, and it's used to suggest that those types of family units are maybe not as valid because they've not been around for so long. So yeah, when you start using tradition in these terms and pushing for that kind of return to that, there is a lot that's doing a lot of heavy lifting, that word tradition.
Yeah, it is. To me, it means sexist, for example. And that doesn't mean if you embrace something traditional that you are sexist. But to me, traditional is 1950s. That's traditional. Post-war.
It's either 50s or Victorian, which we will notice are two periods of time that did a lot of effort into pushing women into very specific gender roles.
Absolutely. When you think of traditions, traditional, I don't think of the 70s. 70s is when people were lots of things happened in the 70s, obviously, but there was pushback as there was in the late 60s as well, and the 60s too. So to me, it's like going backwards. But there's also something about, I'm going to upset all the people that love white. Is it just a little bit soulless or safe? Like, if you just so say you just paint the walls white. I mean, I have rooms that are white as well. Don't get me wrong. There's not colour in every room, but there's something kind of quite safe about white, isn't there? It's not controversial. I was going to say no one has an opinion on it, having just chatted for 10 minutes about our opinions. But, ultimately, it's like it doesn't upset anybody. So are they just playing it safe?
Well, it backfired if that's what they thought, because I've never heard so much chat about the Pantone Colour of the Year.
Or is your algorithm just showing you all that, do you just follow people who have an opinion about colour?
I follow a lot of people who have opinions. That's largely what my algorithm does. But I think it is safe. Oh, yeah, that's a whole... It is. But is it an easy choice? Because it's also just a non-colour.
Colour, is it?
Is it even a colour? It's like Pantone went, oh, I just don't know. I can't be bothered with this anymore. They've been doing this for nearly 20 years, picking the Pantone Colour of the Year, haven't they? It was like 1999 they started doing it, I think.
There is a lot of colours in the Pantone.
I feel like you with it in your diary will know more about that.
Well, I have a big Pantone book, and because from when I used to head up signage at Tesco's, and I had my Pantone book, and I would be like using it all the time. And there's a lot of choice in there. I mean, white was really not, but it's also like, remember that thing in the 80s where you'd paint your wall white? Or, well, I wouldn't. My mum would paint her, and she'd be like, but this is barley white. And you'd be like, no, it's just white, mum. Or it'd be fluffy what's it called? What's the Pantone colour of the year?
See, there's one called Cloud Dancer, which is something else that's
it's Cloud Dancer white, Kate. And I'd be like, no, mum, it's just white. You know, like all those whites that have different names, but they're just white.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All those paints that all look the same.
The paints that barley white, this is and you spend ages. This is when I've been choosing paints, and it's like, and here's the white that goes with it, and you go, it's white. Yeah, so but the Cloud Dancer colour has that kind of greyish background to it, I think. So this is what my husband said this morning. Is he said, well, is white even a colour? Like, white's like the absence of colour, which again, by picking that, I mean, I know that this is apparently Cloud Dancer white, and therefore it's a soft, billowy white or whatever they said, but it is white. It's on the page of their Pantone Colour book that said white at the top, right? It's not on the blue page. It's not on the green page. It's definitely on the white page. So it is just a lack of colour. And, you know, I feel like they know it's influential, so they know that it's going to get talked about. And kind of, the world's depressing enough. Do we want some nice bright colours to cheer us up rather than like reflecting it in that kind of just absence of colour?
I think knowing how influential it is in all the jobs I've done and stuff in the past, it's just really disappointing that, you know, but I suppose to wrap up what you said about the counterculture, I've always been alternative, since I was like 14. So I've always gone against the grain. So I just think there'll be so many people going, well, I'm not going to create a white aesthetic across my Instagram grid or my whatever, or my digital magazine or whatever it is you're creating. Nah, I'm sorry. And I feel like there's going to be, you know, maybe next year's will be black, but not black. It's called noir night something.
Obsidian green, which is the colour I've painted one of my walls, which is black. Yeah. We'll lead the rebel girl colour revolution.
Oh, yeah, and also the goth in me. You know, I was a goth at 14, and I'm where I'm no white, no. Thank you for joining us for another roundup of midlife chat, hot takes, and occasional moaning. Well, quite a bit of moaning.
Make sure you hit subscribe so your podcast app gently nudges you every Friday, because honestly, who remembers anything without a reminder these days? And also, we like people liking us because we're very needy.
And if you fancy being extra lovely, leave us a rating or a review. It helps more brilliant women like you find us. Have a great weekend, everyone, and make sure you find time for yourself. You deserve it.